The USFL Gambling Podcast season preview for 2023, aka year 2 on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET's now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET is what you need to win. Bet $100, get $100 at WynnBET.com or download the WynnBET app and start winning today. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by Sports Gambling Podcast Final Four Watch Party. Yes, this Saturday, come sweat out your bets and win prizes with Stacking the Money Green, Real Money Kramer, and myself over on YouTube, youtube.com/the Sports Gambling Podcast. Plus, make sure to fill out our listener survey for a chance to win a $100 SGPN gift card. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/survey.
Hey, it's Scooby Wright here, aka Shark Dog, listening to SGP and let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. It's America, Jack. You know how to play West Coast football? Wait, I don't get it. Being played in the United States Football League. Oh my God! Quarterback is toast. We sometimes forget that football being a consummate team sport is therefore more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL. America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television. That is football. Unlike string football is going to work in America. You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Yes, we are back. It has been a tough, I don't know. What is it? 8 months? 12? I can't count. All right. But we are back. The USFL Gambling Podcast is back with season 2 of the USFL. Yes, the USFL last season was the first season since 1986 for the USFL. Also, the first spring season to complete a whole season as the Birmingham Stallions beat the Philadelphia Stars since 2000 with the original XFL. If you're wondering just who the hell you're listening to, well, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. I killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
Yes. You know I love this league. Back in the 80s, last year, it doesn't make a difference. Doesn't have one of these silly little kickoffs, all right? Fucking didn't know we were playing soccer on the football field. God bless you, USFL. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, folks. I am joined by my co-host. He looks fucking blue right now. He's looking like he's in the fucking Swiss Alps right now. Looking like, what do you got? You're working with some crazy light there. Give it up.
A little Twilight Zone action for you guys.
Former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing. Patty C in the place to be.
Hi-oh! Up.
First down. Yes. yes, you are looking blue, and you can watch us on YouTube now. We got it's like Major League, the movie. It's like we got a YouTube channel and everything. You know what I mean?
At least he's not live coming from Afghanistan like he was during one of the college football episodes.
Yeah, now he's in Antarctica. I can see the ice reflecting off his fucking face.
Right. I'm in an igloo. I'm not in a bunker anymore. Still got that like asshole cop vibe going on with those sunglasses, though. I think an aviator. I don't want to be like 1980s here, but I should get some 80s glasses. That's kind of more of the vibe. Let's be honest.
Folks, you can watch this. Go to YouTube, type in USFL Gambling Podcast. I believe youtube.com/USFL Gambling Podcast. I think we'll get us there. I'll double check that short link. We're brand new. This guy, third man in the booth, currently wearing a USFL hat, a sweet ass USFL hat. Give it up for the DFS god himself. And folks, once the season kicks, we're going to be playing DFS every week. You might remember last year when I took home first place. Cool $1,200.
Week one, right out of the gates.
Right out of the gates. We're gonna do it again this year. Stick around. But give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys? Dude, I love hearing that music right off the bat.
That music's fantastic. And I see Jordan in the chat says, "Sup, guys? Y'all been helping me win some dough in the XFL. Excited for USFL season 2. Yes, we are super excited for USFL season 2. We're going to talk all about it. I guess, we have odds. We're going to talk about what odds we find juicy. We're going to really go through, each roster and talk about some of the differences between leagues. But first off, let's talk about last year. What'd you guys make of USFL season 1? Well, first year since '86. Patty C, what'd you make of it?
I mean, solid year. I know right away we could probably identify some of the differences that we've seen from other leagues. It seemed to be a run heavy league, which, given our run the damn ball mantra that we believe in, that fit pretty well with us. At least more balanced.
Yeah. You look at I've been hosting the XFL Gambling Podcast. Go listen to that. And look, I know a lot of these fans come at each other. I feel like the USFL fans are coming at the XFL fans, and vice versa. But I'll say this: I think there's room for both to be at the table. Now,
sure. If
you ask me which one I prefer, I do prefer the USFL because many things, but the kickoff is one of them. But look, we're 7 weeks into the XFL. We haven't had a kick return. We had, I think, if memory serves me correct, 5 kick returns for a touchdown in the USFL a year ago.
Vontae Turpin, say no more.
Yes, Maurice Alexander, who ended up being a kick returner on the Detroit Lions as well. And I believe we had 2 in the USFL playoff game in the same game, I believe. But
one might have been a punt return. No,
maybe I'd have to dive back into it. But I've been covering the XFL over there. There's only really one and a half teams, I would say, maybe 2. St. Louis seems to be running the ball more, but really DC is the only team that runs the ball in that league. I don't understand.
And what's their record?
Yeah, they're undefeated.
Funny how that works.
Everyone's getting cute throwing passes everywhere, and I think when you're in these leagues where you don't have super elite quarterback play, it doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. But last year was fantastic. We saw the Stallions beat the Birmingham Stallions and Scooby Wright, friend of the program, and Skip Holtz, East Carolina God, and they took down the Philadelphia Stars in the Freedom Cup on right before July 4th. Nick, what'd you make of season 1 in the USFL?
Well, first off, I guess we got to pour one out for the Tampa Bay Bandits.
Yeah, no, I'm really disappointed here.
Can we still hear the song from time to time?
We come from down in Gator Country. We are the pride of Tampa Bay. We play football and we're called the Bandits.
And I think our brand of balls are here to stay.
Bandit ball. Gotta be rough. Bandit ball. Bandit ball.
Now they say that they might be coming back. Obviously, they still own them, but
What's the story behind that? Because I never dug deep into why that happened and why they. And if you look at the roster for the Showboats, it's mostly, or it's a lot of them.
No, it's the same team.
Yeah,
they just moved the
same
location.
Coach too.
I think they couldn't get the Raymond James Stadium lease, and then they didn't want to add 4 more teams, so they said let's just move it and go to the Liberty Bowl, which is actually a way better stadium. But
true.
Let's talk about that because God damn it. So the Memphis Showboats are now in, legendary franchise, one of our favorite names as far as I think USFL franchises go from the OG one.
Exactly.
But
the missing element in American sports is representation for the Mississippi River and that brand of cockswinging. That brand of what's the word I'm looking for? Riverboat gambling.
Yeah.
If you had the over on first 10 minutes, Patty C says cock. You hit barely, barely.
And I do like that how they have the New Orleans Breakers and the Memphis Showboats. The only problem is the Memphis Showboats decided like they lost their soul because what the fuck is that? All right, they changed their entire their old helmet, their old colors, phenomenal. They had Reggie White back in the day, Pepper Rogers, right? They fucked this all up, man.
The imagery is supposed to bring back 18th century steam.
That logo is awful.
Oh, they just basically, dude. Remember the old one had the steam coming from the top. Oh God, it was a perfect logo.
Like a futuristic thing. It looks awful. The color scheme, the logo. I don't know if I've seen the uniforms yet, but I'm sure that they can't be good when they're working with that.
Dude, they took Toledo's uniforms. They just said, "Hey, we're taking Toledo's uniforms."
not a good uniform to take.
Yeah. Absolutely. You ruined a classic. You had a 65 Corvette and you just turned it into a Honda Civic. What are you doing?
Pretty much.
What are you doing?
You put a big spoiler on the back of a classic Corvette.
And some plastic rims. I mean, God damn it. How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck that up? Now, I understand that they got the rights to the Washington Federals and the Chicago Blitz and a few other teams. I think maybe it was the Denver Gold or it was the Oakland Invaders, I think was one. Maybe the Denver Gold too. I don't remember the Jacksonville Bulls. I don't remember all of them, but I know for sure the Washington Feds. So we're still waiting on. Come on, you're seeing the DC fans. We can divide that lemon party at Aldi Field. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, I'm heartbroken because they should have just if they were gonna do that to the Showboats, you should have just went expansion. You should have just went expansion then. You should have just said, we're gonna be the Memphis, whatever. But the Memphis, what do they call every name? The Wizards now.
I mean, and Showboats is such a great name.
Yeah,
it's
you got that Maverick, vibe. Terrible movie, but I
like that movie. I like that movie.
It was a fun movie. But they got that swagger, that goes along with it, and they traded it out, and now with the speedboat, it's kind of like a Florida redneck.
Yeah, it's terrible. And what I was hoping is once they got to their locations, which I know Memphis is playing in Memphis this year, but New Orleans is not playing in New Orleans. I was hoping that the team to cut costs would actually take a fucking steamboat all the way down to New Orleans. All right, when they played each other. Come on,
that's an idea. I love it.
And it'd be great for the documentary series. You remember we had the Pizzagate last year. Well, how about having the whole fucking team on a showboat going down there, gambling their ass off? Come on.
Well, you brought up a good thing about this year is that not all the games are in Birmingham like last year, except for the playoffs, which were in Canton. I mean, look, we understand why the USFL did that last year. It worked for last year, but at least this time, year 2, they've expanded to 3 other sites, Memphis being one. Are you not happy? Look, of course we would prefer every team to have their own field. And I know what you're going to say. You don't like the Dome in Detroit.
Yeah, that's just those are games I don't really want to see. Ford Field is terrible. If I wanted, if I wanted to go, I hate it when my wife takes me to the shopping mall. So I don't want to tune in and watch a game at a shopping mall here. All right, I spend enough time going to going to fucking Bloomingdale's and JC Penney and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? I don't need to see these terrible games. We want real football.
Look,
damn it!
3 out of 4 is not bad. 75% is not bad. Canton, Ohio is great. And Birmingham and Memphis are great locations.
Oh, the Liberty Bowl is fantastic
for sure.
And they should go. They
Eastern Michigan on that gray field instead of Ford
Field. Yes, they should have played in Yips Blanty, and then or Soldier's going to be open. Hello.
Oh, that would have been.
Come
perfect.
on.
Oh man.
Well, Soldier's open.
In the springtime, it probably is open. But
Arrowhead. Come on, you're killing me here. The Cleveland Brown Stadium.
Well, here's the funny thing, though. So obviously, Detroit is a pro stadium, but the other 3 aren't. So maybe those other teams were not willing to give up their field, especially if it's grass compared to
the problem,
a dome.
The problem is they need to play. That's one thing the XFL has right, or at least with a couple like they should be playing in all MLS stadiums. Both these leagues, both the leagues should be playing in these MLS stadiums because it's perfect.
Yeah,
you can actually pack it.
Yeah.
And when you go to a Detroit Lions stadium, this is going to look ridiculous. No one's going to go there, right?
Yeah.
And look,
Colby says they should play in baseball stadiums. But
yes,
you're probably right. The MLS
but baseball stadiums work too. Yeah.
You're right though. But between a dome and empty stands, those games in Detroit they're just going to exude boringness. If that's a word.
Detroit's already empty as a city, let alone the fucking stadium.
Right.
All right.
But it is a good thing that at least we have 4 locations instead of 1 now.
True. So
baby steps.
4 locations, hopefully, and I do think they're building it the right way. Look, I can trust a league ran by Moose Johnson who played fullback. I know he played for the Cowboys. We hate the Cowboys, but damn it, fullback's the greatest position on the planet. All right, so we love the fullbacks getting the shine. Let's talk about I see the chat moving along. Shout out to Judge Dredd and Rob Donaldson. See you guys cover every league possible. Well, you damn right. We love the USFL.
Yeah. I had a blast last year.
Me and NC Nick been watching the same VHS USFL video from 1985.
I wish I could get my hands on that, man.
It's on YouTube. I can send you that.
Please
I can send you that. Yes. God bless the internet. All right. Well, look, let's start talking about the differences between rosters, between teams. Then we'll take a look at the future market. And once again, that season is kicking just a couple weeks here. I cannot wait. And just so you know, folks, we can talk about that, Nick, before we dive into the rosters. No weekday games.
Little bummed there. Little bummed. All Saturday and Sundays. But
this is how, look, the XFL hasn't necessarily been thriving with their TV numbers this year.
Yeah.
All right. And a lot of those games on FX are getting like 300,000 views. Just like I think the USFL figured this out last year. Oh, there's a whiskey delivery. There we go. Appreciate
man. Hey, I'm a little thirsty over here.
NC Nick says, "Where's it? You bringing it over to Raleigh, North Carolina? Let's go." No, but so last year I think their number struggled. The USFL even when they were on USA Network. So they saw how good the numbers were on Fox and NBC.
Yeah.
And as much as I do prefer that they play weekday games too, the numbers don't reflect that. And I think if they're in this arms race of spring football, I think it's smart to load up on your major networks. So I understand, I would like, hopefully when they expand next year, hopefully they add 8 more teams or 4 more teams, or hopefully 8. And they can play them on weekdays too. But right now with only 8 teams, you have limited options. Yeah. And I think this is what they got to do.
You have a fuller inventory of games. You might be able to sprinkle some weeknights, some Friday nights, some Monday nights, some Thursday nights. So basically,
fancy guys, we're still in the basics here. Before you can walk.
With all that said, the first weekend, Sunday at noon, the thing's on Peacock. Well, it's also on NBC though. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, everything is so the season kicks on April 15th. Cannot wait. And the opening games. You got games on Fox. You got games on NBC.
What about Sunday night on FS1? You couldn't put that on Monday night? Are you telling me it's going to do better Sunday night on FS1 than Monday night?
Probably. I think more people watch TV Sunday night than Monday night. Yeah.
Although, why do they always put the championship game for college football and college basketball on Mondays?
because you're competing against other sports
on Sunday.
And college basketball says, "Hey, we can have Monday all to ourselves." But a lot of people say that a lot of people say that college football and college basketball should move back to Saturday, have the championship game on Saturday. But anyway, let's just talk about this. So week 1, the season kicks. We got Philly at Memphis. The Liberty Bowl is, in my opinion, one of the 10 best stadiums in this country. Shout out to college football, the campus tour. We had him on the College Football Experience, which you should be subscribed to, and he was talking about the Liberty Bowl being one of the best stadiums left.
It's getting a little upgrade too, right?
Getting a little upgrade, which is what they should do with all these stadiums. You know what I mean? They should have, instead of taking away all these classic stadiums, you just upgrade, and boom, you stay. Oh,
the bunker is back. The bunker is back.
This guy's in a cave. He's the igloo is getting. We're losing.
Static in the igloo.
Yeah. Here. So Philadelphia at Memphis, New Jersey at Birmingham. Those are great games there. Then Michigan at Houston and Pittsburgh at New Orleans. So at least they knew not to start off with the dome game.
True.
All right, fair enough. They're winning my hearts over. They didn't play a dome game all last year, which is fucking phenomenal. All right, let's head into the rosters. But before I do that, I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by WinBet. Yes, WinBet's now active in Massachusetts and a ton of other states. Be on the lookout for WinBet's Win Hour each Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. During WinBet's Win Hour, marquee games of the week will have better odds on WinBet, giving you a larger payout opportunity. And we still got a little March Madness left. There's so many ways to bet on the Final Four and the Big Dance. Sign up today to receive a special offer. Bet $100, get $100. Limited to state availability. And of course, for our DJs only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you get $1,000 free credit. There's so much to choose from. And all you have to do is head over to winbet.com or download the WinBet app. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions. Winbet.com must be 21 or older, present state where WinBet is available. If you or somebody you know is a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. We're also brought to you by the SGP Masters. Looking to hang out with Sean Stacking the Money Green and Ryan Real Money Kramer of the Sports Gambling Podcast at Stadium Swim in Las Vegas and watch the biggest golf tournament in the world. Yes, you can win a 3-night stay at Circa Las Vegas to hang out with the guys. The contest is completely free to enter. Just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/golf party. And if you don't win the contest, you can still get a discount on a room using promo code SGP15. We're also brought to you by our Sports Gambling Podcast Final Four Watch Party. Yes, the Final Four Watch Party is going virtual. Come out and hang out with us. All right, you're gonna be at home anyway, having a cocktail, watching the games. You might as well mute old whoever the hell's announcing that thing, Jim Nance, whoever the hell. I don't know who's announcing this. I think it's Nance. Yeah, Jim Nance. Hey, great guy. He's retiring, but as far as I'm concerned, he's been retired when the Sports Gambling Podcast is on compared to him. So, mute old Nance. Come on over to SGP. We're going to be there all day. Both games, live bets, prize giveaways, and much, much more. Subscribe to youtube.com/Sports Gambling Podcast and tune in this Saturday. And remember to let it ride. All right.
Let me ask you this. I know you wanted to dive into players and roster, but should we start with coaches?
That's probably the biggest thing. Maybe we should, unless you kind of wanted to just go team by team and talk about both.
Well, we can still do this. Coaching wise, the shakeups. Jeff Fisher decided he did not want to live in Michigan. All right, despite the cheap real estate, he decided that Birmingham, Alabama, was where he wanted to be. So he's out. He also couldn't get a winning team going in Michigan.
Birmingham, Alabama?
Yeah, that's where he was loving Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, Jeff Fisher lives in like Wyoming or Montana or something.
I know, but he was in Birmingham last year for all the games, and now they're playing the games in Michigan, and I just thought, he's probably not very fond.
I read you.
Of the tap water. No, I'm joking.
That's Flint.
Although, yeah. Mississippi and the South in general, probably not too much better.
Yeah, that's
true. True. This is all disgusting.
Maybe that's why he's back on his ranch in Montana. He can drink out of the stream that goes through his backyard.
That's true. That's true. Mike Nolan is the new head coach of the Michigan Panthers. Shout out to Mike Nolan. Look, he better do this. And someone better say, if you are listening to this and you're in the USFL or part of the staff, you got to send this to Mike Nolan. Clip this. I want the shirt and tie back. All right. He, when he was coach of the 49ers, would still rock the tie, right? Still rock the suit, the tie. We want it back. Come on. You're paying homage to classic coaches. I want that style back. Patty C, what do you think of Mike Nolan? And what do you think of the chances of him bringing back the shirt and the tie like we're seeing Lombardi on the sidelines?
Well, he's a hard ass, he's a hard nosed dude. I got to appreciate that. And of course the style, he's probably the best dressed coach in the NFL the last time around. I think after him, they kind of did away with even allowing the suit look on the sideline.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, why would the NFL care if you want to put on a shirt and tie? Come on.
Absolutely ridiculous. But Mike Nolan's been coaching this game since 1981. He's been a part of some great colleges, Oregon, Stanford, Rice, LSU. And he was in the NFL forever with the Washington Redskins. I remember him from New York Giants. Dan Reeves. He was
on almost every team in the freaking NFL.
Yeah, Ravens with Ray Lewis. He was their DC.
Now he has had about a 3-year break though.
Yeah.
Now, if you ask me, I don't see this as much of an upgrade over Jeff Fisher.
It is if he's wearing the suit.
He will win you over, that's for sure. But that was his only years as head coach for the 49ers, 05 to 08, where he wasn't very successful. And I think we saw this last year. These strictly NFL guys. You mentioned a couple colleges he was at. That was in the freaking early 80s, man. Okay, so that doesn't count. These strictly NFL guys who've been mostly assistants, I don't think they do well in these leagues like the USFL or the XFL as a head coach because they're not used to doing more with less
and adapting to change very fast.
I mean, you have to adapt to. You have to handle all kinds of situations. You don't get handed stuff to you on a silver platter like in the NFL where you have the best staff, the best players, the best facilities, the best everything. This is totally different, man. Spring football is totally different, and these guys usually don't succeed.
Yeah, that's why your college football coaches are more of a football coach, in my opinion, than your NFL coaches.
Or people like Bart Andrus, who's just coached every freaking league possible.
Yeah.
You don't think that dude can adapt?
Yeah.
Talk about, waking up poolside with a fistful of pesos or something. That's Bart Andrus.
Yes, Bart Andrus. Bart Andrus is.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Yes, Patty C's tracking. Maybe Mike Nolan will like this too, because this is just.
I jinxed it, man. I fucking jinxed
what has happened to your computer?
I don't know, dude. I feel like this is a recurring thing. It seems to have no, there it goes. Well, I'm reporting from the bunker here, people. Deal with me. There might be some missiles flying overhead here.
They're gonna think we're previewing USFL in '86.
You know what? Our listeners have to be able to adapt as well to spring football coverage.
That's right.
This isn't NFL coverage where you got ESPN and everything.
Maybe we do it in studio next week, Patty. I feel like maybe I got a little crazy by saying, we can do it from remote, guys. Not a problem. Let's go remote.
I kind of miss Colby shitting on my internet access in North Carolina.
That's true.
Dude, we got the work
figured it out.
No,
you know what it is Apple came in over there, man.
That's true.
That's what it was. They hacked into the mainframe.
Rob
Donaldson says, how much roster turnover was there from last year to this year? I really got into the USFL last year. Look, you're going to see a lot of the same faces, but there are some quarterback change. I think that was the biggest thing, but we'll get to it all on this episode. Shout out to Rob. I just
want to say real quick to go along with what you guys are saying in terms of resources that are probably more closely aligned to what you're seeing in the USFL. Don't mind my camera here.
It's actually an improvement. Go ahead.
Skip Holtz and Todd Haley finished first and second in the South respectively, and they were at what Skip Holtz was Louisiana Tech, and I guess you could say
no, not Todd Haley.
Not
it was
Todd
Larry
Haley,
Larry
yeah.
Fedora.
Larry Fedora. Larry
Yeah.
Fedora. I guess North Carolina's got some resources, but still not NFL level resources. And so, and then in the North, guys that got, like you said, the NFL guys, and then Kevin Sumlin. Maybe he's used to having a little more resources at his disposal. Maybe that's just coincidental.
No, they were in every game. Like someone's won. Like
The second half.
Yeah, they just blew their leads every game. Like I believe the NFL coaches just sucked in the USFL year one, and that's probably because of what Nick's talking about, adapting to change. When your players have to graduate and you have to adapt to a roster, whether you're in other alt football leagues or whether you're in college football, I think it makes you a more experienced coach. And you look last year and you saw what Mike Riley, I think probably had arguably, coming into the playoffs, the best team. People would say them or Birmingham. They got upset by Philadelphia, but Bart Andrus, who's coached in every fucking league. All right. He's even coached like a fucking high school in Canada, I feel like. And Mike Riley, and then Larry Fedora and Skip Holtz. Those are four coaches that are not NFL guys. And that's why they succeeded, I believe, was that they can adapt to change and adapt to fit their roster the best ways possible.
Exactly. And that was the four teams over 500 last year. And the USFL last year was kind of like the XFL this year. There's the really good teams, and then there's the really shitty teams.
I actually think though the USFL like actual teams were a lot better than the XFL teams.
Yeah.
Like the XFL teams, I mean, obviously I have no way of proving this, but I believe from watching the games.
Yeah.
I really believe short of the Pittsburgh Maulers, I believe like the 7 USFL teams were way better.
Yeah.
Than the XFL teams, in my opinion.
I wonder if that's gonna be the case for year 2, because we already know that the XFL they stole a couple quarterbacks from the USFL, so hopefully that continues within year 2. I think it will, because I mean, you have a whole roster here, but the quarterback is always the driving force. So if you don't have good quarterback play, I don't care where you're at, it's hard to win.
Yeah. Well, I also look. Rob Donaldson says 100% agree. Colby, the talent was better in the USFL. I think some of it is also like you saw the line of scrimmage. In my opinion, was way better in the USFL than the XFL. The blocking, you know what I mean? Like I believe the offensive line play actually was the biggest thing, which results in better quarterback play. They go hand in hand.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's one coach, Mike Nolan. Let's hop on over to so now we Todd Haley is now the Memphis Showboats coach. Like I said, the whole franchise, Tampa Bay Bandits, moved to Memphis. So that's not a new coach, even though it is a new coach with a new team or whatever. But the Houston Gamblers, they went out and got Curtis Johnson. And he's a name that I think we all said, well, who the hell is that? You know what I mean? Like, who the hell is this guy? Curtis Johnson was a former Saints assistant. And I think he's a brand new head coach, but he's been coaching since '84, where he started with high school.
He didn't coach at Tulane as the head man at Tulane from 2012 to 2015.
They were terrible, but
so they were slightly better than they were under Bob Toledo.
Well, that's something. Bob Toledo.
But not a whole lot better. So I have my concerns with him as well.
Well, I mean, I don't if they can just protect their leads. If they can protect their leads, that had to be a little bit of coaching there.
True. Hey, look, we've been Fade Sumlin ever since he was at Arizona and A&M. So we've been saying Fade Sumlin for a while. So I don't think it's a downgrade. It's just, it remains to be seen if it's an upgrade.
Yeah. So he is the new coach of the Houston Gamblers. It'll be interesting to see. And then the New Orleans Breakers, Breaker 1-2. Larry Fedora said, I'm going back to Waco. He's got a house in Waco, a little farm. They got John DiFilippo. Yeah, I remember this. I remember hearing this guy's name, John DiFilippo. All right?
I don't think that's how you pronounce it.
We got Flipper. We got John Flipper in the fucking house. All right.
Look, all I need to know is one thing about this guy.
He's a JMU grad.
That's right. That is right. So he is obviously the favorite to win the national or the Freedom Cup this year.
See, in my opinion, though, this is them getting cute. I think they should have got a college guy or a high school guy.
Again,
or a CFL guy or an ELF guy, or but you look at this guy. He hasn't been a part of college football since 2011. Now, that was the Mike McIntyre era, I believe. So he's got ties to Mike McIntyre
at San Jose State.
Yeah, at San Jose State. He was also back in the early 2000s. He was at Florida and Notre Dame and Columbia. A little Ivy League love here. Maybe he's gonna fool us all. But he's been in the NFL a lot, most recently with the Chicago Bears as their passing game coordinator, which is never a good thing.
Not last year.
No, not since McMahon.
He was the offensive coordinator of the Jags in 19. I don't think they had a stellar offense then.
Yeah, he was with the Browns in 15. They haven't had a stellar offense since fucking Bernie Kosar. But we'll see how he does. I'm a skeptic. We know. Well, we'll get to the rosters, but I'm a skeptic of this hire. You guys?
What do you think, Patty?
He comes from a sports and football background. He was the athletic director at the University of Kentucky in the 80s and early 90s. His dad was. So look, this guy's been around sports.
He was or his dad?
No, sorry, his dad was. I meant to say his family has been around sports.
The acorn doesn't fall far from the tree.
That's right. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's not like
wasn't Kentucky terrible in the 80s?
They were.
He was the athletic director. I think if it wasn't for Christian Leitner over here, Nick's guy, then Kentucky might have won that national championship in 92.
Well, maybe John Flipper should be a coach of the G League. All right.
Nah, Colby, I'm with you. I mean, just for everything we were saying about these more NFL assistants, they have to prove it to me before I buy in. So I'm looking to fade the Breakers this year.
Well, let me just say
still have great uniforms, but yeah,
true.
They do. Okay. Maybe his dad's background as an athletic director helps him be a better administrator. I don't know if we're going to have any Kirby Wilson moments, kicking a guy off the team for eating a slice of pizza under John DeFilippo.
No. He didn't want pizza. Oh, no, he wanted pizza. He was getting served chicken salad. He was trying to get pizza.
That's right.
Trying to finagle some
pizza.
Because,
dude, I mean, right there, everybody loves pizza. Chicken salad's pretty iffy,
Yeah, you're taking a hell of a gamble. I feel like if you were to poll 100 people at a fucking restaurant, I feel like half wouldn't ever eat. Yeah, pizza's pretty damn safe.
Whenever you add mayonnaise, there's going to be people that are right out that they say no right away. So
I thought the chef should have got canned, but I also enjoy a good scandal, and I also enjoy the fact that sometimes it's fucking hilarious to see something like. I enjoyed a league. It's like in the XFL where the ref was mic'd up when he got water sprayed on him. And I don't know if you guys caught this last week when there's like a ref, in the DC game, basically there's a flag on the play, pivotal play, 3rd and 12, even though DC's kind of kicking their ass. And everyone's mic'd up, all the refs. So the head ref is going, he's like, what's the penalty? What's the penalty? And the other ref comes over and goes, sir, he squirted water on me. All right. The player on the sideline squirted water on me. Right. And it was just fucking hilarious. Right. So they ended up giving a 15-yard penalty. There was another situation where a guy they kind of kicked the guy out for no reason. They're like, let's kick him out. Should we kick him out? Kick him out. Right. And they're all mic'd up. I kind of love seeing the that side of these leagues.
The behind the scenes. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great if we saw? I would love to see if Aaron Rodgers was, continuing to be like a little bitch and being like, I don't know if I'm going to play this year. You know what? Get this guy out of here. Get him out of here. Wouldn't it be great?
Didn't they have a hot mic situation on the guy, the rules expert? And basically he was trying to give an explanation of the call the other week. And after they explained it, his mic was still on. He's like, yeah, we screwed that one up. It was great.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, look, the next coach, we're not that high on Flipper, but let's hop on over because next coach I am high on. If you played the game Tecmo Bowl, you may remember this guy. Yes. Let me get some music going here. Let me get a little Tecmo Bowl music to make the fans remember So he was a Cincinnati Bengal for a long time. All right. A long time, but in tackle ball, he played for the Dallas Cowboys. We're talking about safety, Ray Horton. You know what? Anyone tackle bowl gets a pass. They should be in this league. All right. We had Pepper Johnson as a DC last year. He's not there this year. But Ray Horton takes over for the great what was our Kirby Wilson. And Ray Horton, look, let me tell you, I'm a Ray Horton guy. All right. I'm excited about the Pittsburgh Maulers, and look, they changed their uniforms to black and yellow. They're still terrible with the top of the uniform. They're still kind of fucking it up, but still, at least they're fitting the city of Pittsburgh. But Ray Horton,
no team in Pittsburgh should have purple in their uniform.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. But Ray Horton, obviously, Bengal and Cowboy, played in the NFL for like 12 years. Out of Washington.
Given all we said about these NFL coaches, why are you high on Horton?
Well, just because he's integral.
So you got the Patty C, JMU angle here.
I'm the only two-time Redskin
person here. This guy is on the defensive side of the ball his whole career. He played defense. I don't see him being very innovative offensively, and he's never coached anywhere other than the pros. I got a bad feeling about this one too.
You're probably right, but he hasn't cut anyone over pizza yet. But and look, he's responsible for 3 Super Bowls. At least there's that.
He's responsible.
Yeah, he was on the Cowboys '92 team.
him alone is responsible for 3 Super Bowls, right?
Special team play in the NFC that year, not the NFC Championship, in the NFC.
More like he was along for the ride.
Look,
Patty C sounds like he wants to say something intelligent here.
I think that we'll try. We know that's about a 10%.
He's got a very nice ceiling. I'm looking at. Is that popcorn?
Well, here's the alternative. Ceiling? I got a whore on my wall there. So look, he's a defensive guy, and Kirby Wilson. That was the same idea they had with him. Obviously, it didn't work.
Well, he was a running backs coach, though. Wilson was a running backs coach.
But he was a hard ass, and he had that's actually surprising. I was under the assumption he was a defensive coach just based on his personality there and the fact that their offense was so atrocious. I will say this. I think with the defensive coach in Pittsburgh, that's always going to work out. That's what they've done since the beginning of time. And so you put a guy with a little know-how there, it's going to fit culturally. I'll say that.
They could have got Dave Wanstead. That's all I'm saying. They could have got Dave Wanstead, Pittsburgh guy, former Pitt coach.
Does Ray Horton have a mustache?
Yeah, that's essential.
Ray Horton definitely eats ass. All right, look, he's a great guy, and I'm excited about the Maulers. But look, maybe you're right, Nick. This is not a college coach, so basically you're saying there's just 3 good coaches left, and Mike Riley, Bart Andrus, and Skip Holtz. The rest are all gambles by the league.
Yeah, because Todd Haley last year, some people might look at that record that the Bandits had 4-6. That was a phony record. They were not good. That was a soft ass team.
They were terrible.
His coaching was bad. The line play was bad. And if he's the new coach of the Showboats, I don't have high hopes for them either. So this is basically, I know maybe I'm jumping ahead, but I think it's 3 teams can win it all.
Wow.
And the 3 teams I'm talking about.
Yeah, he's talking about the Stars, the Generals, and the Stallions. All right. Look, before we dive into each roster, all right, I want to tell you folks out there that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Sword Vitality. Yeah, come on. Everyone loves an erection. All right. Look, self-care.
Other than my wife.
Look, every guy should be proud about taking care of themselves. And sometimes if the old pipe's not up to a standard, sometimes you got to make an adjustment. Look, and there's no shame in that. 40% of men are affected by impotence at the age of 40, and nearly 70% of men are affected by the age of 70. That's like half the coaches in this fucking league. All right. Stop buying highly suspect pills. We've all been that drunk guy at the gas station saying, I wonder if this shit's going to work. Take me down for 2 of those.
Little horny goat weed.
Yeah. Look, and if you're going to go at it, we know you manscape down there, but you gotta take care of the plumbing. All right. You got to take care of the plumbing. And, Sword Vitality helps increase your blood flow in ways that help you thrive as a man. All right. It's time to become a Sword Vitality man if you aren't experiencing erections every morning, because you should be. You know what I mean? You wake up, boom, you should have that action. All right.
Let's tackle the day.
Let's go back to 13 years old here.
It's time to become a Sword Vitality man if you aren't experiencing erections in the morning. It really is. And talking about Sword Vitality should be comfortable. You know what I mean? There's no shame in liking things. You know what I mean? Even down there, come on. Like, I hike, I watch football, I use Sword Vitality. All right. It works. All right. Increased blood flow is one of the big benefits there. It helps you thrive as a man in the old bedroom, if you know what I mean. Sword Vitality can also help
clarifying there.
It can also improve your stamina. All right. Look, I mean, maybe some of these USFL players want to have it. Maybe fourth quarter, old Bo Scarborough is getting a little, maybe pop in some Sword Vitality.
That's
Boom.
Right.
All right.
We're not doing the jelly beans in the fourth quarter anymore. It's Sword Vitality.
Maybe the old lead in his pencil's getting a little low.
Light. Yeah. You don't have to hide it. All right. You can be proud of it. Sword Vitality. So get over there. Unsheath your sword. All right. Sword sex is a good thing. All right.
Boom. Carpe diem.
So right now, visit swordvitality.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a nice discount at checkout. That's swordvitality.com. Promo code SGPN. All right. We are back talking United States Football League. Let's hop into these rosters. Let's start off with the Michigan Panthers and Coach Mike Nolan. Guess they brought back 2 quarterbacks. I mean, remember they cut Shea Patterson mid-season last year. Shea Patterson's now a 3rd-string quarterback in Canada. All right. They got Josh Love back, the former San Jose State quarterback, who was once a Pittsburgh Mauler, who was cut, and they picked him up. And then Eric Barriere, who they picked up late, former Eastern Washington kid, who was a stud in the FCS. They also added the ultimate lawn chair in Carson Strong from Nevada. So Strong lawn chair, not long chair. For Carson Strong, we call him a long chair. But they added him to the quarterback spot. I got no idea who's starting here. I would imagine it's going to be Love or Barriere. But any leans there, guys, on who do you think is going to start?
So, I mean, we liked Barriere in college at the FCS level. He's a very accurate passer. Maybe not the strongest of arms. He's also got a little bit of mobility and wheels. I mean, I'd be surprised if he doesn't win it. He got his feet wet in this league a little bit last year. I think he was signed late in the year, like week 8, week 9.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but somewhere around there. I think he's your guy, personally.
I think he might be the guy. And remember, Paxton Lynch also was on this team. They got rid of him. That's addition
Smart
by
move.
subtraction.
Smart move.
Who was Mike Nolan's quarterback during his years as head coach at San Francisco? Maybe
Alex Smith.
He drafted Alex Smith. Yes.
So I would
Alex
say
Smith was horrible under him.
I would say Carson Strong doesn't fit that profile. Alex Smith certainly more of a more mobile kind of quarterback, getting out on the edges. Traditional West Coast quarterback, I would say. So Barriere probably the better fit there.
Yeah.
And Love didn't show me much last year either.
Well, he was on the Maulers. That wasn't his fault. Once he got to Michigan, I thought he looked better on Michigan than he did in Pittsburgh.
And he was playing for 2 bad offensive coaches, so that's true.
Yeah, I liked him at San Jose State. Running back wise, so a year ago they had Cam Scarlett. He's gone. But they still have Reggie Corbin and Stevie Scott III. They also have Joshua Adams out of Notre Dame and LD Brown out of Oklahoma State. But Corbin and Stevie Scott return. They were effective run game. This team was a good run team last year. Now receiver wise, they lost Lance Lenoir. He's now in the XFL with the Orlando Guardians, and I don't know why. I mean, I guess I can't give these guys a hard time if they're on like Kirby Wilson or Jeff Fisher's teams. I would probably explore other options too. But at the wide receiver spot, they still returned. I think the big one is Joe Walker, who was a baller for the Michigan Panthers last year. They also bring back Devin Ross, who was pretty good, a kid out of Colorado. Those two wideouts are solid. They add some. I know Rob Donaldson in the chat was talking about Whop Fillier out of Indiana. Yeah. Trey Quinn out of SMU, Marcus Sims out of West Virginia, Telolo Lime Jones out of Eastern Washington.
Played college ball with
Barriere, right? So, and then Ladarius McElroy, Isaiah McCoy, some of those guys, AJ Richardson out of Boise. I don't know. They got Steve Brown, a defensive coordinator, though, the old Houston Oiler. I'm on board. Let's go. I don't know if it's the same Steve Brown, to tell you the truth, but anyway, I mean,
I actually like the roster. I
Me
think
too.
They're very solid at running back. They probably have one of the best running back rooms in the whole league. I think receiver, they have some depth and some playmakers also. So the biggest question here is quarterback and coach.
Here's what I've been saying. I know you guys haven't been watching all the XFL, but I find this mind-boggling. To me, the two teams that were really the best, and actually you could actually say the top three teams of in the USFL last year. But right now you're seeing it in the XFL with the DC Defenders. If you in a league that struggles to complete passes, which is going to happen because the quarterback play is not going to be super elite.
Sure.
You should be running your quarterback. Option read.
Yes.
Now, whether you're doing just the quarterback draws like Case Cookus, who had like an 80-yard fucking touchdown run for the Stars.
That's a great play.
But the DC Defenders have been doing Jordan Tamo / DeAndre King option read with their run game, and it has been super effective. We saw that with DeAndre Johnson and the New Jersey Generals last year with Darius Victor and DeAndre Johnson. You also saw it with Jamar Smith and Bo Scarborough with the Birmingham, even Magoo, they would run a little bit with too. You got to be doing this. So to me, if you have that great of a ground attack, use Barriere as your starter and do some option read stuff, and you're going to be one of the better offenses in the league. It's mind-boggling to me. I almost think these spring leagues fail from the start as far as like trying to change your approach to be like the NFL. That's not going to happen. You're not going to have Showtime Mahomes over here, all right, doing all this stuff.
Let me push back on you a little bit, because Shea Patterson was used as a runner to an extent. Vad Lee to an extent.
Because they never did designed runs with Shea Patterson. He ran because the offensive line was terrible. Yeah,
and because he's terrible.
And Vlad Lee, they never did either.
Yeah,
even though he just got picked up by somebody too. Who was that?
Stars.
Yeah, interesting.
He's going to back up Cookus.
I think he's not bad. Bad, but my point is you got to be doing that. I'm saying by design, Patty C. By design, you have to stress the defense a little bit, because if you're just going to sit back there and drop back, your quarterbacks are not going to be that elite. You know what I mean? So you have to do that. At least half the teams in the league should be trying to do that.
I completely agree. I'm with you, Colby. Patty C. I'm surprised. You're a run heavy guy. I'm surprised that you're kind of disagreeing with the advantages of having a mobile quarterback.
Oh, I understand the advantages of having a mobile quarterback. I just think that, in any given football season, you work around your personnel, and if you don't have a running quarterback or you don't have a dual threat quarterback, and all you have is a passer, then that's what you need to be doing.
Well, you should go out and seek personnel instead of adding Carson Strong.
Yes.
Who's like a 6'8" fucking giraffe, right? And instead of adding him where he's not that polished as a passer, he's a statue back there. In my opinion, you go out there and you get a college quarterback that's probably in the CFL as a third stringer or waiting to get picked. Like I said, DeAndre King's right now a backup with the DC Defenders, right? Players like DeAndre King, players like we see him all over. Steven Montez.
Would you say Bart Scott? Would you say Case Cookus or
Bart Scott?
Or whatever Scott.
Brian Scott.
Sorry. Would you say he was your traditional running quarterback? Is he a dual threat by nature? And those two were some of the more successful quarterbacks in the league last year for Philadelphia.
Yeah, but Cookus, they ran the hell out of. I mean, he rushed for like 50 yards a game. I feel like,
and also
one of the reasons why
Scott and the coach had been together before. I think in leagues like this, it's hard to implement precision, complex passing offenses because you don't have
a full off season to get it dialed in. Year one may have been an anomaly. Sure, I agree that in
a full off season. I mean, what's their off season look like?
Yeah, they're not working together, buddy.
Right? They're not like
together.
They're working at the Sheetz gas station on the off season.
They're not flying to Arizona to practice together. So.
No, I mean, look, Patty C's comment. If you had elite players, but the interceptions tell us here they averaged the amount of interceptions in both these leagues, XFL and USFL, is at an astonishing rate. You know what I mean? Like there's look up all the teams last year. Look at this. Sloter was the second leading passer in the fucking league last year. He had more interceptions than touchdowns. Tamu barely had more touchdowns than interceptions. You go one by one, and it's clear. It's clear that you should not be throwing the ball that much.
What's to stop a team? Because there are air raid quarterbacks that don't make it into the NFL that you could go out and get that are working at the college level that are at the same level as some of these other players that are in the USFL right now. What's to stop you from going and getting an air raid quarterback and flinging the ball all over the field?
Well, I just think it's easier and more simple to have a running quarterback. It's almost like backyard football at that point. Because
I'll say this, Patty C. I mean, I don't mean continue.
No,
Nick,
go
continue.
ahead. You go ahead.
I'm just saying, look at last year's teams. The teams that ran the ball won, and you're seeing it right now in the XFL. The top two teams in the league are the two teams that ran the ball: the St. Louis Battlehawks and the DC Defenders. June Jones's team, and he's one of the best offensive minds, is third. Right now, after that, everyone else is trying to run air raid concepts. Bob Stoops is trying to do that. It's not working. Terrell Buckley's got Shane Matthews doing Spurrier ball with the Orlando Guardians. It's not working. So I think the proof is in the pudding.
I agree. On a different note, Rob in the chat says he has a buddy that plays tight end in the XFL, and he's saying that XFL players make about $35K more in the XFL compared to the USFL. And look, these guys aren't making a ton of money, so $35K is his serious change. So I just found that was interesting. But no, I agree more with Colby here. Sorry, Patty C. But let's move on to the next team.
Well, and something about the 35K, I think it's going to be interesting to watch because the XFL ratings have been the worst of any of the XFLs. All right.
Is that timing? Is that timing?
No, the XFL 2.0 did the same exact time. You know what I mean? Did the same exact calendar months of the year.
So why do you think that is?
I think they're on FX. I also think that FX, ESPN Plus, stuff like that. That kind of ESPN Plus, we don't even know the numbers, so maybe their numbers are better than what we think. But I also think maybe it's better to get a little bit of a break. Maybe look, I love seeing personally, I like the XFL calendar better than the USFL calendar.
I totally disagree. I love the USFL calendar. I want college basketball to be done, and then I move on to the USFL.
See, I like weather. And to me, if you play it in February, we've had cold games in Seattle. We've had cold games. And to me, if you're in the summer and it's all hot, you know what I mean? I don't know. I like the elements.
But no, the break, I think maybe there is something to that. Maybe people after the Super Bowl, they want just a couple of weeks to be, kind of to do something else other than watch football. That you could be onto something there. What do you think, Patty?
I mean, I think without a doubt the USFL from a fan interest and a viewership standpoint works really well as far as, they timed it perfectly, giving a couple months break for from the NFL, starting up again once people are hungry for football and right as they're looking around when college basketball is ending and saying, hey, what the hell is on TV? Oh, true. USFL.
Dude, the XFL had a game Thursday night, the opening night of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
are you fucking crazy? Like, who's watching that shit?
Yeah, they should.
Look, I know, we're diehard college basketball fans, but even like the average person, if they're going to watch sports that day, it's going to be the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, agreed. But that's why they should have been playing it on. That's when they should have been Monday nights. But
yeah,
all right, let's hop on over to the New Jersey Generals. Mike Riley's back. Great coach historically. Played in the original, or coached in the original World League, or no, not the original World League, the '91 World League. The original World League was with the California Sun in the 70s and the Charlotte Hornets, the OG Charlotte Hornets. DeAndre Johnson's back, but Luis Perez is gone. They got that dead weight out of here. He's now bouncing around the XFL was on the Vegas Vipers. Now he's with the Arlington Renegades. But they got Kyle Laletta Cheese out of Richmond as a backup. He was a former Mauler. And then they signed Dakota Prokop out of the CFL, the Blue Bombers, out of former Montana State Bobcat quarterback. That'll be interesting to watch. And I think that's something we should highlight here in this league is a couple big signings like that. But DeAndre Johnson is going to be the guy, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Dual threat capability is going to make him an X factor. And they were able to keep Darius Victor and Trey Williams. That's huge.
That's huge.
I understand they lose. Look, they lose Kevontae Turpin. That hurts, right? Sure. But Darius Victor and Trey Williams were the best 1-2 running back punch. I think in the league. I know you can argue Marable and Bo Scarborough, but I think Williams and Victor with DeAndre Johnson gives them just a 3-headed monster that's pretty nasty on the ground. They kept, they lost Kevontae Turpin, but they keep a lot of their other guys. Alonzo Moore's back at wideout. Cam Eccles-Looper, who I think is emerging star.
He's a player.
Randy Satterfield's back. These guys are all back. Braden Bowman at the tight end spot is back. So I expect this offense to be, going again. They lost Perez. They lost Kevontae Turpin. They lost their center Garrett McGinn out of ECU. Got to represent, and they did lose their defensive coordinator Chris Dishman. He's now with Rod Woodson with the Vegas Vipers, doing terrible. But Chris Dishman gone, so they're gonna have to adapt there. But this team kind of
Rod Woodson for the Maulers.
Yeah, this team was kind of intact. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Yes, and I think that's key. I think it's huge for those teams that were good last year and they had the same coach and a good chunk of the same roster. Dude, I think that is going to be so instrumental this year. And it's no surprise that the 3 best teams last year, they have the same coach this year also. So I think these teams are going to run away with it. I mean, just to have that continuity year over year. And these leagues are in a perpetual state of flux. Yeah. People coming and going left and right. You got that year over year, something to build on. I think it's huge.
Not to mention that they were the best team and their best players, their studs that they relied on to generate offense for them are coming back.
And they're probably hungry from getting upset in the playoffs.
So by Case Cookus. All right, the Houston Gamblers, Curtis Johnson walks into a situation that probably a good thing. Clayton Thorson's gone. He's gone. He's out of the league. Right? Houston Gambler fans are rejoicing everywhere, and that is why I will do this for those old Gambler fans. Kenji Bahar is back, but they added 2 quarterbacks. I think these are interesting. They added Terry Wilson, the former New Mexico / Kentucky / Oregon quarterback. Now, I don't think he's very good.
But he's strictly running. He's strictly running. So you got that going for you.
I like that. They also got Montel Cozart, who I think can play. I think Cozart might be the day 1 starter, former Boise State quarterback.
I don't recall him at Boise that much.
Either way, all 3 are mobile. So this is one team that I find interesting. They got rid of the lawn chair. They're listening to pick Dundee here. Clayton Thorson's gone. And they return Mark Thompson, who's one of the best running backs in the league. Remember Mark Thompson? He's like the Adrian Peterson of this fucking league.
Florida Gator, right?
Yeah. Now they did lose Dawkins, their other backup running back, and but they have TJ Pledger from Utah. And then they have a couple guys that we don't really know how well they're playing. Wally out of Arkansas and Benny LeMay out of Charlotte. But the wideouts are kind of intact too. Now they did lose Will Likely, who was one of their better wideouts. But JoJo Ward's back. Anthony Ratliff Williams is back. Josh Moore they got out of Texas, who I think could be a difference maker there. Tyler Palka and Brandon Barnes back at tight end. So if there's one team to me in this whole league, like, do I expect the Michigan Panthers to be a playoff team? Probably not. Do I expect the Pittsburgh Maulers? Probably not. Probably not. But if there's one team, especially with New Orleans losing Fedora, I think it's the Houston Gamblers. If they can just hang on to some of those leads, and I like the philosophy that they're doing at the quarterback position. Guys, what do you make of the Gamblers and Curtis Johnson's bunch? Nick?
Okay, I'll kind of buy in. I think they had an above average defense last year. I think they were hamstrung by poor quarterback play and poor coaching. So if you're trying to tell me there's a team that could possibly bubble up, it's either them or the Breakers. Maybe potentially Breakers too. Now we'll get to the Breakers, but yeah, if they just completely embrace and dive into the running quarterback thing, I think they could be dangerous.
Patty?
Which is interesting because, having him spent his whole career coaching wide receivers and being at the Saints while they're throwing the ball all over the field, are they likely to? Is that the approach that we think they're going to take here?
That's the huge question mark. Is
not
Curtis
with that
Johnson.
Personnel, probably. I don't think they're going to be a passing team. I think they're going to be a run-first team. Yeah. With that personnel, I don't see any of those as like drop-back passing quarterbacks. So I think they're going to get aggressive. And it still surprises me. I know we're still waiting for Paul Johnson to get a job here in one of these leagues to run the option.
So Kenji Bahar did not look great either. I mean, he may have been better than Clayton Thorson, but not by much.
Why was he better? Because he was an athlete that could run.
He could do something at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not too familiar with Cozart, but I'm telling you, Terry Wilson cannot complete a forward pass. That dude is strictly a not even dual threat. He's just an athlete back there at quarterback. So I don't know who's going to start here. Maybe
I think it's going to be Cozart.
Maybe Cozart. We'll see.
Yeah.
But don't expect to pass much if Wilson is under center.
What do you think, Patty?
Well, I mean, it almost makes me think back when you're talking about Thorson trying to run Sumlin's, air raid essentially last year. Personnel was a huge issue for them, throwing the ball around, and they weren't able to. I had it pulled up just a second ago as a pathetic passing attack, something like 140 passing yards a game for Thorson or something.
Yeah,
141. So, that's not going to cut it when you're running Sumlin's system. So maybe, but again, if you don't have the personnel, I guess you better be ready to change it up.
Well, let's switch on over to the Memphis Showboats. Like I said, Todd Haley's still the coach. I'm not a believer. Pepper Johnson, their defensive coordinator, gone. Even though the defense wasn't really the weak part of the team, it was the offensive line. Jordan Tamo, and this is a perfect example. This is a perfect example of what an offensive line can do for you. Jordan Tamo looked awful on the Tampa Bay Bandits last year.
Yeah.
Right? He's looking really good for the DC Defenders. Right?
I think we kind of knew that last year, though, too. We knew that he was better because he just didn't have the supporting cast, especially the O-line.
I mean, he still led the league in passing last year.
Still, anyone to watch, that's because they were down by 40 every game.
He also led the league in interceptions.
Yeah.
So.
But Kyle Sloter, who looked pretty good last year with the exception of making a lot of interceptions, but definitely a dynamic passer in this league, has been awful in the XFL. If anything, he just got cut. He might be back in the USFL.
I'm wondering if somebody's going to scoop him up.
But he got cut, and I don't even think it was his fault. I think the team he plays for has the worst offensive line in the XFL. So O-line play is huge here in these leagues. So the Memphis Showboats, they don't have Jordan Tamo. He's gone, right? They got Cole Kelly out of Southeast Louisiana. Remember in our FCS podcast, or when they did the spring season, he was a baller for the Lions of Southeast Louisiana. They got him. Yeah. They got Brady White out of Memphis. Now Brady White was on this team last year, so maybe he has an advantage in camp. They also got Ryan Willis, Patty C's boy out of Virginia Tech. I don't love the quarterback spot here, but maybe I think Kelly could be that guy. Running back wise, they lost their guys. Juwan Washington gone, and their run game was terrible last year. BJ Emmons gone. They're going with, I have no idea who's going to start here. Alex Collins. They got Kareth White, David Ham, Justin Stockton. No idea who's going to start for the Memphis Showboats in their Toledo uniforms. Wide receiver wise, they did hang on to Derek Dillon. They hung on to Rashad Davis. They hung on to Vinny Papali. So the wideouts, and they even got Osiris Mitchell from the Birmingham Stallions, won the championship with the Birmingham Stallions. That was a good get for them. Gives them some depth at the wideout position, but I just don't have faith in Todd Haley. Do you think this team is going to be improved? I guess the real thing would be the offensive line, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's been fixed. Nick?
No, I don't think this. I think this is going to be one of the worst teams in the league. I don't like the coach. The roster seems very iffy. It's hard for us to break down the offensive line. It is what it is. But they were very bad last year. And if there were a bunch of good offensive linemen out there, somebody probably would have picked him up. I'm sure there's not a bunch of 300-pounders just sitting out there waiting for a job that are really good. I'm sure they're in high demand. So, no, I'd be surprised if this team does much. I don't like the coach, and I don't like the roster really. So I'm looking to fade the Showboats here, and I don't like the logo. Going back to our initial
unoriginal, the most unoriginal fucking uniforms. Patty C, what do you think of the Showboats?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of question marks. Todd Haley didn't have a super impressive year last year, and didn't really have an impressive NFL tenure. 19-26 in 3 years there as a head coach. So I will say that. Maybe without Tamu, I think in his head coaching background, obviously time spent with Roethlisberger, maybe his offenses work a little better with a statuesque quarterback. Brady White's only 6'1",
not with that old line.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe he just needs to find a way to get the ball out fast. But look, if maybe Jordan Tamu was a really bad thing for him last year, because on top of leading the league in interceptions, he by a mile led the league in sacks last year. He was sacked 25 times. The next closest person was 16. So he held on to the ball too long. So
I don't know if
that
that's
offense. I disagree.
Yeah.
You saw it with their run average. Emmons,
right.
BJ Emmons and Juwan Washington, I actually think are decent running backs. They probably left the Tampa/Memphis because they're like, fuck this, man.
I don't think you put the sacks on the quarterback there, personally.
I mean, who knows? Tamu certainly struggled, but whether that's on him. The funny thing is, for a guy that led the league in or had a quarterback that led the league in passing, Todd Haley, when he was at Pittsburgh, was considered the guy that was going to bring them back to running the football after Bruce Arians had been throwing the ball all over. The people in Pittsburgh, the Yinzers, were really happy that, hey, we're going to get a guy that likes to run the ball. Here he is throwing the ball around. Go back to your roots, Todd Haley. Run the fucking ball, and let's get this thing.
Our guy Rob in the chat beat me to it. Remember the Haley and Big Ben yelling at each other on the sidelines?
That's true.
Classic.
Let's talk. I think this is one of the more interesting teams besides Houston is the New Orleans Breakers with John Flipper at coach. So Flipper, okay. Shea Patterson's gone. Slaughter's gone. He had Zach Smith, and he had Akil Glass, who we loved at Alabama A&M. Also a kid named Davis Cheek out of Elon. But then the big news this offseason is, and this was shocking, and I love this angle here, is McLeod Bethel Thompson, who won the Grey Cup. He won the Grey Cup for the Toronto Argonauts out of Sacramento State. This guy has been great in the CFL. He turned down. Do you want to talk about what I love about him? And I saw someone talking about this. They asked him about this, and he said, "I'm betting on myself. I'm going to get to the NFL." And he turned down. He was going to make like $500,000 in the CFL for like 50 grand or something, or whatever that is in the USFL, whatever that number was. He turned down a shit ton of money, and he says, "I'm betting on myself." I love this story. All right?
Well, I heard too is that his wife just had a kid, and it was really hard for him to be in Canada last year when his family was in the States. So not only is he betting on himself, but dude, he's 34 also. I think that window of going into the NFL is getting very narrow, but I love the pickup for the Breakers. You're getting a very experienced professional quarterback, and a lot of teams don't have that. So that's why I said if there was a team that might bubble up, I mean, the Breakers were pretty good last year too. Yeah. So maybe it's not fair to say they're a team that could bubble up, but I think I said there's the big three earlier. If there's a fourth, I think it's probably the Breakers, because I think
it's them or Houston. Houston. But so the leading rusher, Jordan Ellis, the league's leading rusher, gone. That one is interesting to me. But Anthony Jones is back, who played really good when he was healthy. So Anthony Jones probably fills the void. They also still bring back Jonathan Adams, who is a beast at wide receiver, and Johnny Dixon, the kid out of Ohio State. Both those two, two of the best wideouts in the league. And then they added Sage Surratt from the Birmingham Stallions and Wake Forest. That's interesting to me. But they lost Sal Cannella, and they lost the Slaughter, Ellis. They lost some big pieces.
Yeah, true.
But you could argue, honestly, that Bethel Thompson's better than Sloter. You could make that argument because of how good he was been playing at the CFL level.
I think that's a fair argument to make. Yeah. So I think the biggest question mark might be the head coach again, because we don't know what to expect from Filippo.
What do you think, Patty? See the break a 1-2. Come on in.
Yeah, I mean, the coach is a question mark. I'm not as familiar with McLeod Bethel Thompson's background, but you guys seem to have seen enough of him to have confidence that he's a stud at the quarterback position. So you have that going for you. Yeah, you're a player. You're a player in this league if you have a good quarterback.
And then
experienced one.
Yeah. And then we get to the Pittsburgh Maulers with Ray Horton. Oh, this team is very interesting because they got this is another one that's buying into my philosophy, perhaps, NC Nick. They got Troy Williams at quarterback from Utah. Troy Williams was good at Utah, man. Remember Troy Williams at Utah? He was a good quarterback for them.
Not especially, dude. I was looking at the roster. I'm like, man, these quarterbacks are not ringing too many bells.
You really don't remember Troy Williams at Utah? He was like, I mean, in the past 5 years, he was Utah's starting quarterback. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Proceed.
Another CFL guy who played for the Eskimos. They got him. And to me, this is what I love. You ready for this? So James Morgan, the Bowling Green, Florida International guy, started at both schools. They're mobile quarterbacks. Now, this is the one I don't know much about. Chase Fourcade, the nephew of former New Orleans St. John Fourcade out of Nichols. Shout out. We got another Tech Mobile reference going here.
I was wondering.
Yes, Chase Fourcade. I kind of want to root for this team because you have those quarterbacks, and then you have Patty C's boy, the John Reagans of the USFL, Garrett Groshek, who Nick says sucks.
He does suck, man. I was really hoping. But you put him in the black and yellow, he becomes a different guy.
There you go.
Rocky Blyer 2.0. They got Madre London. That guy was actually a beast last year.
He was the better back. He was
They
good.
couldn't pass the ball. So the defense knew Madre London was getting it, and he still was all right. Now,
where was Bailey Gaither? Was he at Pittsburgh last year?
Yeah, he was good.
I feel like he was productive as hell.
Yes, him and Trey Walker, both those San Jose State wideouts, they're back. They're back at wide receiver for them. Also, Hardaway played for them last year from Fresno State. They're back. They also got Samson Nakua from BYU. We remember him at BYU. He was a solid player. And then they have Jalen McCleskey from Tulane. Michael Pratt used to be throwing touchdowns to this guy all over the field. He is an interesting watch. And then the big one, Hunter Rison. Oh yeah.
That's Andre's son.
That is Andre Rison's son out of Grand Valley State.
Grand Valley State. Nice.
This team is going to be a lot of fun to watch. It's probably going to be terrible, but I'm going to be watching the Maulers each and every week. Guys, they lost a bunch of people, but they were so bad. I can't even. I mean, yeah.
I mean, just getting rid of Kirby Wilson.
Yeah.
True. That can only be a benefit, but
he was the worst coach I've ever seen. There were so many comically, I didn't want to root against the guy.
You haven't watched Rod Woodson coach.
I haven't.
He's the worst coach I've ever seen.
A little behind the scenes though, the Patty C and his family are big Pittsburgh Steelers guys. So I think Patty wanted to like this team.
Oh yeah, dude. This is one of the teams that was going to be my team.
But
I didn't like the uniforms. Now that they're black and yellow. I mean, quite frankly, the fact that their logo is a guy in a hard hat who's essentially Pittsburgh Steelers' mascot, Steely McBeam, is their logo. I don't know how there's not a
lawsuit.
A lawsuit,
a trademark infringement,
infringement.
Give it a year. Give it a year. We saw it with the Houston Roughnecks getting sued by the Houston Oilers.
That's true. But the Maulers weren't they an original USFL franchise?
They were. They had Mike Rozier.
In.
So here's my problem with the Maulers. They are completely starting from scratch this year. New coach, new quarterbacks. I think this is where the Stars, the Generals, the Stallions are going to be such a leg up, having a year already in the bank and building off what they did last year. So I mean, maybe maybe they'll struggle early on. Maybe they'll get better as the season progresses. But I think this is why continuity from year 1 to year 2 is going to be big.
Agreed. That is going to be big. But look, I mean, they got so much lineage. 4K, Ryzen. I mean, just everywhere you go here. Groshek, the Rocky Blyer 2.0. The Philadelphia Stars have Bart Andrus. And one thing I know about Bart Andrus is he's a fucking legend. All right. I love this guy. All right. I love the fact he's hanging onto the hair on the fucking head. You know what I mean? He reminds me of that guy in Goodfellas that ends up in the back of the meat truck. Bart Andrus is a legend. Case Cookus. I love this. You know, I was on the XFL Gambling Podcast. You know, I host that thing. Subscribe. But one of our guys, shout out to J Mark, and listen to his podcast, Old Fashioned Football, as well as the XFL Gambling Podcast. He is a huge Brian Scott guy, and he was lobbying, saying this is disrespect that he's not starting in these leagues. And I was like, well, let's look. I have nothing against Brian Scott, but at the same time, there's no difference. There was no difference between him and the next quarterback. Case Cookus came up, and if anything, they might have been better because Case Cookus had like an 80. Remember that 80-yard touchdown run he had?
That was great.
Case Cookus can play, man. The former Northern Arizona Lumberjack. He can play. He's back. They got Vadley, and they got a guy named Kevin Thompson from Washington, which I don't even remember him at Washington, and I cover college football. They lost Paul Terry at the running back spot, but they got Darnell Holland. They got Matt Colburn, Dexter Williams, the Notre Dame kid, Jordan Scarlett, who was at Florida.
They'll be totally fine at running back.
Oh, the receiving weapons too. I mean, they keep Jordan Sewell, or Sewell, whatever the fuck you want to say. Devin Gray, Chris Rowland, all those guys. Khalil Lewis back. They got Bug Howard,
DeAndre Overton.
Yeah, all those guys were key guys. At Wheatfall, they even add from Fresno State, who I think could be a good player there. I think this team's going to be competing for a Freedom Cup.
Yes,
you
sir.
guys?
They were just there last year. Ain't no reason they can't run it back for sure.
Patty C, what do you think of the Stars?
I mean, on top of having probably the best uniforms in the league, I know that's a little bit of a controversial take, but I think if you're gonna go 70s, who is going 70s? The 70s uniform that was made in the 70s and that was 70s, they're almost an anomaly in sports that have embraced that. I guess you had like the Houston Astros back in the day that were like hyper 70s. We need more of that, and that's what the Philadelphia Stars bring to the table. I'm all in, and I think a repeat is very much a possibility. I do think that the New Jersey Generals may have something to say about it.
And the Stars also have the Blob.
That's true. The greatest mascot in all the sports. Look, they're playing out of Detroit, and that's one thing we forgot to talk about. The Panthers and Stars are playing out of Detroit. Out of Canton, Ohio, is the Maulers and the Generals. Out of Birmingham is obviously the Birmingham Stallions and the New Orleans Breakers, and out of Memphis is the Showboats and the Gamblers. I think they're going to be contenders, though. If anything, playing in the Dome might even help Bart Andrus, the way that he likes to sling that rock around.
Sure.
If there's a team that likes to pass too, I would say like they run the quarterback, but damn, they fire that laser around too. Birmingham Stallions, the reigning champs. Scooby Wright is back, baby. Shark Dog is back. You know he's our boy. Shout out to Scooby Wright. He is back. Now this team, I'm very interested in your guys' thoughts because Alex Mago and Jamar Smith are both back. They added Jalen Morton at a Prairie View, but the running backs, all three are back. Bo Scarborough, CJ Marable, Tony Brooks James out of Oregon. All three are back. Those three good running backs.
Fire.
The wideouts, though, took a hit. Osiris Mitchell, gone. He's on the Memphis Showboats. And then the MVP of the XFL, Victor Bolden, just last week jumped to the Arlington Renegades in the XFL in a move that makes no sense to me. Even if you are getting a little bit of money, it's already week 6 when he signed, or heading into week 7. It made no sense for me why he did this, but they lose those two pieces. Now they still have Marlon Williams, the kid from UCF who could play at wideout.
Yeah.
They added Jeff Thomas late last year. Remember that? Remember Kirby Wilson cut Jeff Thomas, the wideout from Miami, that we're all like, this guy could be a stud. They signed him. He didn't really play much for them. Another thing is they got Myron Mitchell. They got the UAB guys. Austin Watkins, if you remember, UAB was a beast. Myron Mitchell at a UAB. I think those guys will have an effect. They got Adrian Hardy, former La Tech guy with Skip Holtz. And I even like the tight ends, Kerry Angeline and Jay Sternberger.
6'7", 250. going up and getting them in the corner of the end zone, maybe.
They got some guys. They even got a Georgetown wide receiver, Michael Duras, on this team. And look, last time I checked, they also still have our boy Peyton Ramsey. And Peyton Ramsey. Peyton Ramsey, friend of the program, been on the show before too. At a Tuskegee, he's back. Want to see him do good. Yeah, I think you guys are right. I think this team's going to be fine. I think Skip Holtz is an elite coach in this league. I think it's the same three that will be contending for the championship. Now I'm curious if New Orleans or Houston make that next step. Let's talk about this team. I mean, you guys agree with the Stallions here?
Of course. Now, we have to go back, and I love bringing this up because SGPN has a lot of really smart spring football guys, but they had Birmingham, I think, last or second to last on their power rankings entering the first USFL season. Only Colby and I were saying that Skip Holtz was a really good coach. Those other guys were throwing shade his way, and we're like, what? No, no. We know Skip Holtz. We know he's a good coach. And what does he do? He damn near goes undefeated and wins the whole thing. So yes, Birmingham is still legit, and they're going to be right up there and have a chance to repeat.
There we go. All right. So look, I'm seeing the odds right now. Patty, see you second that.
Let me say this. I know we only had about 4.1, 4.2 yards per carry on the season. And there were some good games and some bad games, but Bo Scarborough.
What's they got mid-season?
Yeah, got mid-season.
Yeah.
I think he was actually the best running back and the best player in the league.
He's the Derrick Henry of the USFL.
Yeah, essentially.
I don't know if you can say best player in the league the way Kevontae Turpin just made a Pro Bowl in the NFL.
That's coming back. That's coming back.
Yeah.
So I mean, he really, I thought, was a game changer for them. And then obviously, God, I'm drawing a blank on the other guy. The change of pace back.
Marable, CJ Marable.
Marable. That's a
Coastal
great
Carolina. Chanticleers.
Yeah.
Very nice. They got some speedsters at Coastal Carolina. That's what they do. But what's it called? Yeah, I think that's a great 1-2 punch. And then you put Scooby Wright leading the defense. You got to figure this team is back in the mix again.
All right. I agree.
I'm getting excited, guys.
I am too. Freedom Cup. The road to the Freedom Cup starts April 15th. We got odds, though. We don't have lines yet on the games. But let me rattle off these odds. The Birmingham Stallions are plus 300 to win the Freedom Cup again. The New Jersey Generals are plus 300 to win their first Freedom Cup. 2.0 here. The New Orleans Breakers plus 500. So the odds on favorite, third best odds on favorite. Then you have the Philadelphia Stars, who played in the Freedom Cup a year ago but lost, plus 550, along with the Memphis Showboats plus 550. The Gamblers are plus 600. The Panthers are plus 700, and the Maulers are plus 800. But I mean, and by the way, I hate it when I don't play the music of the Maulers when I was talking about them. That is my fault. That is my mess up. And here.
The Maulers are here.
Anyway, look, guys, I can tell you this. I'm all over. I mean, obviously the first two are 300, but I feel like Nick's right. I think you bet three of these. Put $100 on the Stallions, Generals, and Stars, and you're going to win money.
There you go. I mean, the Stars, the disrespect here that the Stars are getting at plus 550.
Yeah, I even think that like the Gamblers, if they can hang on to those leads, like the Gamblers' defense was good last year. You get plus 600.
But plus 550 is the Stars.
And the Stars had the lead with 2 minutes left.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, there's no value. I mean, no, I'm all over the Stars here. I think that's the obvious play. Maybe it's too obvious. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree. I think you got to take. I'm taking action on those three. I don't think there's any way. Worst comes to worst, you get your money back.
What was the Breakers odds again?
The Breakers actually had better odds than the Stars. They were plus 500.
If they were like plus 650, plus 700, I might throw a little bit on the Breakers. But why? When you can, when you can put money on the Stars. I don't get
who's the best long shot for you to take here. Like Gamblers plus 600, Panthers plus 700, Maulers plus 800.
Panthers, Gamblers, or Maulers?
Probably the Gamblers, right?
I might go Maulers.
Yeah, the change of coach
is huge.
Yeah.
For the Gamblers too, though, dude. I mean, fucking someone couldn't protect the lead. You know what I mean? They were winning in like all of their fucking games, but I don't know. Folks, this is just getting started. USFL Gambling Podcast. Make sure you subscribe. I mean, look, we're on YouTube now. You really have no excuse to not be subscribed to the USFL Gambling Podcast. Also, make sure you give us a follow. So subscribe on YouTube, and also make sure you give us a follow on Twitter. Let me just make sure I have this right. Yeah, at USFL Gambling. At USFL Gambling. We cannot wait for the season. We'll be back next week and every single week until the Freedom Cup is crowned. All right. Well, until next time. Well, first check out the XFL Gambling Podcast. Check out the College Football Experience, which I host. And same with these guys here. College Football Experience. College basketball experience. We got Final Four right around the corner. College baseball experience. So check out those podcasts as well. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast, which I'm a part of as well. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831. Give NC Nick a follow on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. And like I said, at USFL Gambling is the feed there, folks. Until next time here. We can't wait for this thing to kick off. Let's get it going.
There are those who say that the fun has gone out of football, that it's become too predictable. For them, let me present 30 seconds of football, USFL style.
The USFL, where football is still a game.
Football is a unique American experience.
And we out of here.
Described by one turn of the century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. It's America, Jack. You know how to play Buenos Aires football?
Being played in the United States Football League.
Oh my God, the quarterback is toast.
We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is a great deal more successful when you do play as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL.
America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television.
That is football. I'm like, spring football is going to work in America. You play